As a citizen of this community, you need to become involved and participate to end police brutality. So I just want to let you know as an update, Carl Thompson was found guilty. But now what can we do as citizens of this community to ensure that this doesn't happen again? So what I want to do today is I want to tell you why I got involved in my community. So this is a picture of my mother-in-law. She is 61 and an elementary school teacher. She's been given the government's award for best teacher, that kind of incident. One day, 8 cop cars showed up to our house, and she was fixing her front door. She had a hammer in her hand, and the police rushed the house looking for her son. They then stated that she threatened to harm them, a 6'4" white police officer, saying that my 4'10", 61-year-old Asian mother-in-law was going to do harm. They arrested her and put her in jail for 30 hours. 20 days later, my mother-in-law died of a stress-induced stroke. So this is why I'm involved. So the police said that those police officers did no harm. They dragged her in handcuffs outside of her house. They were yelling at her. They turned her house upside down. And so this is why I'm involved. So this is happening time and time again with the Spokane Police Department, and they're not being found guilty, just as we saw with the Carl Thompson case. The police officers have an internal review board, and the internal review board said that Carl Thompson did nothing wrong. How is that possible when a federal court and a jury of his peers found him guilty? So stories like this should make you want to get involved in your community. So what can we do? The first thing is we need to demand transparency in our police department. This is so important that we have access to this. So one community that's done this is actually Salt Lake City. Sorry. I'm trying. So Salt Lake City has actually created a website where they have transparency in their police department. The citizens of Salt Lake said, this is what we need. We need to be able to see what our police department is doing. So the other thing is that some police officers have actually made it clear that they don't want transparency in their police department. There is actually a blog online by a police officer saying, why should you as a citizen know what we're doing in our jobs? There's also a We Support Carl Thompson page, and it's set up on Facebook. And so right after he was found guilty, another officer posted on his page, I would like to say we should trudge on and do our work, but how do we do this when one of our leaders is missing? Carl Thompson, you will always be my mentor, teacher, and most of all, my friend. Words cannot describe the pain in my stomach, and least of all in my heart. How sad that our police officers, the one that we hire, are saying this about a criminal. Carl Thompson is a criminal. If we had transparency in the Spokane Police Department, we might not have had to endure the past 5 years for AutoZone. We would have had justice sooner. So it's time, as citizens, that we take action. So the first thing that you can do is you can join nonprofits. The first one is Center for Justice. And this doesn't just cover police brutality, but this is, they're speaking for the little man. That's what their job is to do. So you can get involved in the Center for Justice and be an active participant in your community. The next one is PJAS, which is Peace and Justice Action League. Based here in Spokane, they lead a lot of the rallies, and they try to do silent protests, and they try to inform their communities about what is going on. So, with your involvement in the community, you can let your voice be heard. And it's time for you to make a difference. And now it's time for you to tell your government what to do. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to go to our city council members. We need to tell them what we want in the police department. We need to tell them that we need an ombudsman. Now you say, what's an ombudsman? Well, let me just give you the short version of it. It is an individual who is not a police officer, who can do reviews on the police. This is what we need in place. And that ombudsman needs to be able to make verdicts on what happens inside the police department. Spokane actually has an ombudsman right now, but he is not allowed to look at any of the internal review board's papers. So he can only look at it from an outside perspective. So how can he help us find police that are doing these wrong things guilty? Well, we need to tell our city council members, get out there and tell them that you want your ombudsman to make a difference and that he needs to be able to see the internal reviews. So one example of this is in Boise. Boise has this amazing system set up for an ombudsman. And initially, the city of Spokane went to them and said, we want to mimic what you have. Well, the Spokane Police Guild said, you're not allowed to look at what we're reviewing on our police. So, this is what you need to tell your city council members. Give the ombudsman some power. So as a citizen, start speaking up. Start talking to your city council members and tell them, we need ombudsmen to have some power. So what this simply comes down to is your involvement in the community. So get out of your house and get involved and become an active participant in your community.